Most tools don't fail suddenly. They wear out slowly, usually when you need them most. This video is about the tools that don't. These are 12 tools you can buy at Lowe's that have earned a reputation for holding up to real use. Each one was chosen based on long-term reviews, consistent performance, and designs that avoid the most common failure points. Preference was given to models that haven't changed much over the years, because tools that last rarely need redesigns. And by the time this video ends, you'll have a short list of tools you won't second guess. You'll know exactly why they're worth buying. Let's get started. 12. Kobalt 16-foot auto lock tape measure. The reason this tool makes the list is simple. It maintains its performance longer than most tape measures people buy. The Kobalt 16-foot auto lock tape measure has consistently strong durability reviews on Lowe's US listings, with buyers repeatedly mentioning years of use before any loss of accuracy or return tension. Reviews checked December 2025. What keeps it working is the blade construction. The steel tape is nylon-coated, which slows edge wear, the most common reason tape measures become unusable. Once the edges chip, the tape starts catching, twisting, and eventually cracking. This coating delays that process significantly. The auto-lock mechanism matters more than it sounds. Instead of relying entirely on spring tension to hold the blade in place, the lock reduces constant stress on the recoil spring. Less spring fatigue means the tape retracts properly for longer, instead of slowing down or failing altogether. The end hook is secured with dual rivets, not a single stamped fastener. That keeps the hook movement consistent over time, which preserves inside and outside measurement accuracy, something cheaper tapes lose early. Why this matters is that a tape measure is one of the most used tools in any toolbox. When it wears out, accuracy suffers long before the tool looks broken. This one holds its tolerances longer than most alternatives people replace every year. Next up is a cutting tool that proves why some hand tools still outlast power tools. 11. Irwin Marathon hand saw, 15-inch or 20-inch. This saw earns its place because it keeps cutting cleanly long after most people expect a hand saw to feel dull or frustrating. The Irwin Marathon hand saw has thousands of long-term reviews across Lowe's listings, with consistent feedback pointing to edge retention and straight tracking, even after years of occasional to frequent use. Reviews and listings checked December 2025. The key factor is the impulse-hardened teeth. Each tooth is individually heat-treated, making the cutting edges significantly harder than standard stamped teeth. That hardness is why the saw stays sharp far longer than traditional hand saws, even though it's not designed to be resharpened. The blade thickness also matters. Compared to bargain saws, the Marathon blade resists flexing during long cuts. Less flex means straighter cuts, less binding, and less metal fatigue over time, which is how many cheaper blades slowly lose accuracy. The handle design contributes to longevity in a less obvious way. It distributes pressure evenly across the hand, reducing the tendency to twist or force the blade, something that accelerates wear on both the teeth and the blade itself. Why this matters? A dependable handsaw is often faster and more controllable than a power saw for quick cuts, and it doesn't rely on batteries, cords, or calibration. When it stays sharp and straight, it becomes a tool you keep instead of replace. Next is a tool most people don't think about until it's already in their hand, and that's exactly why build quality matters. 10. Kobalt 8-inch adjustable wrench. This wrench stands out because it keeps its jaws where you set them, even when real torque is applied. On Lowe's US listings, long-term reviewers consistently mention that the adjustment remains tight after years of use, instead of developing the looseness that makes adjustable wrenches unreliable. Reviews checked December 2025. The tool is made from drop-forged steel rather than cast metal, which gives it higher resistance to jaw spread. Forging aligns the metal's internal structure, helping it stay rigid under pressure. The worm gear is deeply seated and precisely cut, reducing play when the wrench is under load. That tighter fit limits jaw movement and improves grip consistency across different fastener sizes. The jaw faces are hardened more than the handle, slowing wear at the contact points. As a result, the wrench continues to bite cleanly, instead of slipping once the edges polish smooth. A wrench that stays predictable stays useful, and this one avoids the gradual sloppiness that usually sends adjustables to the bottom of the toolbox. Next comes a tool that proves measuring accuracy isn't just about numbers. 9. Stanley Fatmax 25-foot tape measure. This tape measure earns its place because it stays readable, controllable, and accurate under conditions that usually shorten a tape's useful life. Across Lowe's US listings, long-term reviewers frequently point out that the blade coating holds up, the return action remains strong, and the housing survives, drops without cracking. Reviews checked December 2025. The blade uses a reinforced coating that resists scuffing and glare, which keeps the markings legible even after repeated extension against rough surfaces. Faded or chipped markings are one of the fastest ways a tape measure becomes frustrating to use. Its blade standout is stronger than average, allowing longer horizontal extension without collapsing. That reduces bending stress near the hook, which is where many longer tapes start to kink over time. The housing is reinforced at impact points, particularly around the corners and belt clip. That added material absorbs drops that would crack thinner plastic casings and misalign internal components. Instead of feeling disposable, this tape continues to behave the same way months and years in, readable, predictable, and easy to control. Up next is a striking tool where balance and construction matter more than raw weight. 8. Estwing 12-ounce fiberglass claw hammer. This hammer belongs here because it stays balanced, tight, and predictable long after lighter-use hammers start to feel loose or awkward. Looking through Lowe's US listings, long-term reviewers frequently mention that this hammer continues to feel solid after years of homeowner projects and routine job site use. Comments about the head loosening or handle flexing are notably rare for this model. Reviews checked December 2025. The durability starts with the way the handle and head are joined. The fiberglass handle is molded directly around the hammer head, rather than being press-fit or pinned after the fact. That eliminates the gradual movement that causes many hammers to develop a slight twist or rattle over time. Inside the handle, layered fiberglass strands absorb impact energy before it reaches the grip. This reduces vibration with every strike. Less vibration means less long-term fatigue for the user, but it also means less internal stress on the handle material itself, which helps prevent cracking and delamination. The 12-ounce head weight is part of why this hammer ages well. It delivers enough force for framing nails, finish nails, and light demo without encouraging overswinging. Heavier heads magnify missed strikes, which accelerates handle wear and increases the chance of head damage when mistakes happen. The claw geometry is also conservative rather than aggressive. It pulls nails effectively without concentrating stress at sharp angles, which helps the head maintain its shape instead of slowly deforming from repeated prying. Over time, this hammer doesn't develop bad habits. It doesn't loosen, buzz, or feel unpredictable. It just continues to behave the same way it did when it was new, which is exactly what most people want from a striking tool. Next is a small cutting tool that gets used constantly and usually wears out faster than expected. 7. Kobalt folding utility knife. This knife earns its place because the tool itself keeps its shape and function, instead of slowly loosening with every blade change. Across Lowe's US listings, long-term reviewers frequently point out that the pivot stays tight and the lock remains dependable even after years of daily cutting. Complaints about blade wobble or accidental closure are uncommon for this model. Reviews checked December 2025. The body is all metal, not plastic, reinforced with thin metal liners. That matters because the highest stress points on a folding knife, the pivot and lock, rely on rigidity. A stiffer frame prevents the subtle flex that eventually causes sloppy blade alignment. The hinge pin is oversized and well supported, which spreads load over a larger surface area. That slows wear at the pivot and helps the knife open and close smoothly, instead of developing side-to-side play. Blade changes are handled by a straightforward clamp system. There are no small springs or floating carriers to fatigue over time, which keeps replacement blades seated flat and stable during use. Instead of rubberized grips, the handle uses machined metal texturing. Rubber inserts tend to peel, harden, or lose adhesion as they age. Machined texture doesn't change with time, sweat, or temperature. Over months and years, this knife remains predictable. It locks firmly, cuts cleanly, and feels the same in the hand as it did early on. If you're finding value in tools that are chosen for how they hold up, not how they're marketed. Take a moment to like the video and subscribe. It helps keep this kind of practical breakdown coming. Next is a tool that most people underestimate until they finally own one. 6. Irwin Quick Grip 6-inch bar clamp. This clamp makes the list because it keeps applying even pressure instead of slowly slipping or losing bite over time. Looking through Lowe's US listings, long-term reviewers consistently mention that the trigger action remains smooth and the jaw stays aligned after years of use on wood, metal, and plastics. Reviews checked December 2025. The bar is reinforced and torsion-resistant, which helps the jaws stay square under load. When a clamp twists, pressure becomes uneven and parts start creeping. This design minimizes that problem. The trigger mechanism uses a composite body with steel contact points. Composite absorbs shock from repeated squeezing without cracking, while steel handles the wear at stress locations. That combination extends the life of the mechanism. Jaw faces are replaceable and slightly compliant, allowing them to grip irregular surfaces without forcing the clamp out of alignment. Less misalignment means less long-term stress on the bar and locking system. This clamp ends up getting used more often than expected because it stays easy to operate and holds pressure without constant readjustment. Next is a screwdriver that avoids the shortcuts that usually wear multi-drivers out early. 5. Klein Tools 6-in-1 Screwdriver. This screwdriver earns its place because it's built around torque tolerance, not convenience shortcuts, which is where most multi-drivers wear out early. Scanning long-term reviews on Lowe's US listings, a common theme comes up. People stop thinking about replacing it. Users mention years of regular use without the shaft loosening, the bits rounding, or the handle cracking, problems that usually show up quickly on lower-quality multi-drivers. Reviews checked December 2025. The core of the tool is the heat-treated steel shaft. Klein uses a steel hardness that resists tip deformation, while still allowing a small amount of flex under load. That balance reduces cam out and prevents the micro-fractures that cause cheap tips to chip or shear off. Bit retention is handled mechanically, not by thin spring clips. The bits seat fully into the shaft and lock into place, which keeps them from rocking during high torque turns. Less movement means less wear on the bit corners and less damage to fasteners. The handle material is dense and impact resistant, designed to tolerate repeated twisting without splitting. Instead of transferring all force directly to the shaft, the handle absorbs a small amount of stress, which helps prevent the internal shaft from spinning loose over time. Even the bit selection contributes to longevity. Rather than including rarely used sizes that require thinner, weaker steel, this driver focuses on the most commonly used Phillips and flathead sizes, the ones that see real torque and real wear. In practice, that means fewer compromises. It replaces several individual screwdrivers without feeling delicate, and it continues to feel solid long after novelty multi-tools start showing play. Next is a tool where hinge strength and jaw hardness determine whether it stays useful or ends up in a drawer. 4. Kobalt 10-inch tongue and groove pliers. These pliers earn their place because they maintain jaw alignment and gripping strength long after many adjustable pliers start to feel loose or uneven. Looking through long-term customer feedback on Lowe's US listings, a consistent pattern shows up. Users mention that the joint stays tight and the teeth continue to bite cleanly even after years of plumbing, automotive, and general repair work. Reviews checked December 2025. The jaws are induction hardened at the contact surfaces, not uniformly hardened across the entire tool. That targeted treatment increases wear resistance where it matters, while allowing the rest of the pliers to absorb force without cracking. The pivot is reinforced and machined to tight tolerances, which keeps the two halves tracking together as load is applied. When pivots wear unevenly, pliers start to twist during use. This design resists that drift. Adjustment channels are deep, evenly cut, and sharply defined. That depth allows the pliers to lock into position instead of riding on the edge of a groove, which reduces slipping and prevents the channels from rounding off over time. The handle grips are bonded directly to the steel rather than loosely fitted sleeves. Bonded grips are far less likely to rotate, peel, or creep under hand pressure, which keeps control consistent during high-force tasks. In daily use, the pliers stay predictable. They don't require constant readjustment, the jaws don't walk off fasteners, and the tool continues to feel trustworthy instead of gradually compromised. Next is a tool with almost no failure points and a reputation for surviving outright abuse. 3. Estwing steel pry bar, 12-inch or 18-inch. This pry bar earns its place because its usefulness doesn't degrade. It either works or it doesn't, and this one keeps working. Scanning long-term feedback on Lowe's US listings, common pattern appears. Owners tend to stop thinking about replacing it. Many reviews describe years of hard use with no bending, no cracked tips, and no loss of effectiveness, even when the bar is pushed beyond light prying tasks. Reviews checked December 2025. The entire tool is forged from a single piece of steel, not assembled from separate parts. That construction removes welds, pins, or joints, the exact areas where pry bars usually give out first. Both working ends are selectively hardened, which allows the tips to resist mushrooming while the rest of the bar retains enough toughness to handle leverage. Too much hardness makes steel brittle. Too little leads to deformation. This balance is what lets the bar survive repeated abuse. The cross-section is deliberately thick, spreading force across more material. Instead of flexing and taking a permanent bend, the bar returns to shape after load is released, preserving leverage efficiency over time. The chisel and claw profiles are conservative rather than sharp. That design choice reduces stress concentration at the edges, slowing wear and preventing the kind of edge roll that eventually limits how the tool can be used. The powder-coated finish slows corrosion and surface pitting. While finish doesn't affect strength directly, it helps preserve clean contact surfaces and prevents rust from creeping into micro-fractures over time. In real use, this becomes a default tool, something you grab without worrying whether it's up to the task, because it has already proven that it is. Next is a measuring tool, where long-term accuracy is the entire point. 2. Empire 24-inch aluminum box level. This level makes the list because accuracy only matters if it lasts. And this one is built to stay straight long after lighter frames start telling conflicting stories. Reviewing long-term customer feedback on Lowe's US listings, a consistent theme shows up. Owners trust it years later. Reports of vial drift, fogging, or frame warping are rare, even from users who store the level in vehicles or carry it daily on job sites. Reviews checked December 2025. The backbone of the tool is its solid aluminum box frame. Unlike plastic or thin wall frames, aluminum resists twisting and bending from impacts and temperature swings. If the frame stays straight, the readings stay meaningful. The vials are permanently seated and sealed, not loosely press-fit. That construction prevents gradual movement caused by vibration or repeated drops. The most common reason levels slowly lose accuracy without obvious damage. Each working edge is machined flat, not molded. Flat reference surfaces ensure consistent contact against studs, shelves, and countertops, which helps maintain accuracy even after years of wear. The vial windows are protected by surrounding frame material instead of being exposed. That reduces direct impact damage and keeps the bubble easy to read without glare or distortion. The design avoids extras that don't. Contribute to reliability. No removable end caps, no rotating vials, no decorative cutouts. Fewer parts means fewer opportunities for calibration to drift. Over time, this level doesn't invite doubt. When the bubble centers, you trust it. And that confidence is what keeps a measuring tool in rotation instead of getting replaced. Next is a striking tool that has earned a reputation for outlasting nearly everything else around it. 1. Estwing 16-ounce steel ripclaw hammer. This hammer earns the top spot because it removes nearly every way a hammer can gradually lose reliability. There's no joint to loosen, no handle to crack, and no balance shift that creeps in over time. What you feel on day one is essentially what you feel years later. Looking through long-term feedback on Lowe's US listings, this is one of the few hand tools people regularly describe owning for decades, not as a backup, as their main hammer. Reviews consistently mention that the tool feels unchanged after years of framing, repair work, and general abuse. No head movement, no change in strike feel, no increase in vibration. Reviews checked December 2025. The foundation of that longevity is the one-piece forged steel design. The head and handle are formed from a single billet of steel, which completely eliminates the most common hammer failure point, the head-to-handle connection. There are no wedges, adhesives, or press fits to degrade. If the steel itself isn't damaged, the hammer remains structurally intact. Instead of using handle flex to manage shock, Estwing relies on a bonded shock reduction grip. This grip is permanently adhered to the steel core rather than slid on. That bonding prevents rotation, shrinkage, and peeling, issues that often appear on cheaper grips after temperature changes or heavy use. Over time, the grip stays where it's supposed to and continues to dampen vibration effectively. The 16-ounce head weight is a key reason this hammer ages well. It delivers enough force for framing nails, fasteners, and light demolition without encouraging excessive swing force. Heavier heads magnify mistakes and accelerate user fatigue. Lighter heads encourage overswinging. This balance helps preserve both the tool and the user across years of use. The ripclaw profile is strong without being sharp or aggressive. That geometry spreads stress across more material when pulling nails or prying, reducing the chance of claw deformation. It also keeps leverage predictable, which matters when the tool is used repeatedly for tasks it wasn't strictly designed for. The striking face is properly hardened but not brittle. It resists mushrooming while still tolerating off-center strikes. Over time, the face maintains a clean contact surface instead of chipping or flattening unevenly. What ultimately sets this hammer apart is consistency. It doesn't develop quirks. It doesn't demand adjustment. It doesn't feel different after years of use. That reliability is why people stop shopping for replacements once they own one. If this list helped you understand why certain tools stay in circulation while others quietly disappear, consider liking the video and subscribing. It supports more breakdowns focused on tools that earn their place through long-term use rather than hype.